Hello and welcome to Mining 901, the fastest growing digital platform where we bring you insights and innovation from across the African mining industry. And today I'm really delighted to introduce to our listeners and our viewers, Dr. Dudley, who will shortly introduce himself to the viewers of Mining 901. But like anything, I find that before we go deep into technical discussions, it's always very useful to understand the person that we're talking to. So with that, Dr. Dudley, if you don't mind just introducing yourself to the viewers, the audience of Mining 901. Who is Dr. Dudley?
My name is Trevor Dudley. I'm a South African. I am the Chief Executive Officer of Mozweli Nuclear Engineering, registered as Mozweli Pty Limited. Our background is that we are in the nuclear space, and the mining we are talking here is with respect to uranium and graphite mining that we will utilize on the power plant. So we have 200 engineers, scientists in the company, and 80% of our scientists and engineers come from another company called the Pebble Modular Reactor Company. That company ran in South Africa for 15 years. Mozweli company is turning 15 years in August this year. So basically, the technology we are talking about has been in the country 30 years. We are recognized as world leaders of pebble technology, nuclear pebble technology. We sit on the board at the IAEA. We help advise the World Nuclear Association on nuclear matters. We are leaders in SMRs. And we are here mainly to create jobs for the African people in Africa, stimulate industry, and at the end of the day, provide reasonable, cost-effective electricity which will be baseload power for the people of Africa. That is our vision, to light up Africa. That is where we are. So we are based in Centurion, South Africa. And yes, we are, as I'm sure you're aware, there are 10 million people in South Africa unemployed. We can accommodate all of them. We design a pebble small modular reactor power plant. The cost today is $900 million US. Our government has said, help us find funding because nuclear is expensive. We are engaged with international investors, funders, and that will come into the country to alleviate, to uplift poverty in the country. And on neighboring SADC countries, we have engaged with 47 African countries. We have traveled to 10 African countries, and we operate at the ministerial level, Minister of Energies, presidents, and things are looking exceptionally good for Africa, for the countries in Africa. I'm sure you've heard of what's happened in America, MAGA, MAGA. MAGA stands for Make Africa Great Again. And as you know, what's happened in the politics, they have said, Africa, you stand up, beneficiate your minerals. We have 2/3 of our minerals in the ground in Africa, and we have the capacity to beneficiate. That's what we shall do. That is what our objectives are, is to do it ourselves. We can do it, and we are doing it. So our supply chain, we do the complete supply chain in nuclear, mine the uranium, process uranium, build the nuclear power plants, operate and maintain the nuclear power plants, and also to decommission the nuclear power plants. So we do the whole life cycle. This is a mega energy program for Africa. But the mining houses are not interested in owning nuclear power plants. They only want to be off-takers. That's all they want to do, off-takers of the power. And so that they can now, 60% of your cost of a mine is power. Now we can reduce that by 20%. Imagine. So the mining people can make much more profits by utilizing power from Mozweli. The utility that we have here is constrained, and that the power lines are constrained, and that's why Mozweli is here to show that there is a future in terms of base load, real power for the people, economic power for the people at the end of the day.
There's a lot that you've said that I would like to unpack. And firstly, when you say you have 200 engineers, the first thought I had was the narrative is that finding engineers is quite difficult. 200 engineers sounds like you have a bit of a monopoly on talented engineers in the country.
Right. On talent, it's 200 engineers and scientists and other people. It's a mix of people. In South Africa today, there are 4,000 nuclear-related people in the country, and majority of them are black people, but they're not employed in the nuclear industry because in 2010, the nuclear industry shut down. We do have a nuclear power plant in Cape Town, Coburg, and as you know, the life of that plant has been extended for another 20 years. But talent, you say a brain drain, people will travel to other countries. We cannot stop that. But as far as we know, only 7 people left the country. I'm still here. I'm a world leader in nuclear. And we have all the followers here. As I said, our main objective is to train and develop people, especially women, in energy, nuclear power. The people are here. We as South Africans, we are the first country in Africa to have a nuclear power plant. We are the founders of the IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency in Vienna, one of the founders, in 1957. So we are a very strong country with respect to nuclear. And we have a site at Pelindaba, the Nexus site, which is a nuclear license site, and there's a lot of activities taking place there. So we are well equipped in South Africa in terms of talent. The people are here, and that we don't have to look. And as I mentioned again, very few people have left South Africa. The media makes a lot of noise that people are leaving, but we have the capacity here. We do have the capacity. Mozweli has signed MOUs with the universities. We have interns in training, graduates from Tshwane University of Technology. They have hands-on exposure and experience. We have those agreements. And we need to train and develop our people to replace us one day in going forward, because each power plant has a life of 40 years. So basically, if you come in the industry, you're guaranteed a lifelong job opportunity of 40 years. In nuclear, there will always be analysis and engineering work to be done. That is a requirement. So that is a lifelong job. There's an upswing in people now studying engineering, studying mechanical engineering, studying nuclear engineering in South Africa. And we're very proud that those seeds have been planted, because there is a future in going forward with the nuclear technology in the country. Back to you, sir.
Maybe a question. So I think for a few years, again, there was a narrative around nuclear energy, particularly following the incident in Japan. Do you think that there's been a change in how nuclear energy is viewed locally? Are you seeing that through Mozweli, or is what we're seeing from the Americans something that has not translated maybe into your world?
Excellent observation there. Yeah. We've had 2 major accidents in the nuclear history of 60 years, and that is Chernobyl in Ukraine and also Fukushima in Japan. And of course, there was a 3 Mile Island little accident in 1968. So that has damaged the perception of nuclear, and people are the media makes a lot of noise about Chernobyl, the radiation, 3,000 people were infected. And then, of course, Fukushima, where you had the tsunami, which knocked out the nuclear power plants in Japan, and they had no power. And then there was, as you know, a meltdown in some of the nuclear. That was bad publicity for nuclear. But today, the technology that Mozweli is employing, which is called pebble technology, it is ultra inherently safe. Now, Fukushima was a geological disturbance, a tsunami. And then Chernobyl was a human disturbance. People did some experiments, and then they had a meltdown. And on 3 Mile Island, it was a mechanical failure, a valve failure. And those are the 3 accidents. Now, on the Mozweli technology, even if you have those kind of accidents, our technology, the reactor, we say, it switches off, it goes to sleep. So you cannot have a meltdown on pebble technology. That is the latest technology on SMRs developed by the Germans, inherited here in South Africa, and we have developed that into extremely safe technology today. So the biggest challenge out there is the perception of nuclear, people towards nuclear. If you stop anybody in the street and you say, what do you think about nuclear? They will say, radiation, sorry, we don't want bombs here. That's their reaction. So the 99% of the perception out there, people are damaged by media and that there's a radiation threat to them. The new nuclear technology, you cannot have a meltdown and there's no radiation that will come out of the plant should there be an accident. That is the beauty of the technology, pebble, small modular reactor technology today.
You keep going back to maybe this concept of a small pebble bed, a nuclear reactor.
Yes.
What's the significance of the modularity of such a technology?
Right. Good. The modularity there's 2 understandings. One is you can build the modular components and take it to site and install them if you want to expand. And modular meaning that our power plant, the Mozweli power plant, the installed capacity is 144 megawatts electric. We guarantee you 100 megawatts electric power for the next 40 years, absolutely no outages. Isn't that wonderful?
Wow.
No outages, no maintenance for 40 years. We guarantee that. We have 4 reactors in the power plant, so we got a redundancy of N-3. So in one reactor, if it's in maintenance, we will still give you 100 megawatts. Now there's a big demand from the mines, the mining houses, from industry, from gated communities, desalinization plants, hydrogen plants, for 100 megawatts. We have found our flagship is 100 megawatts plant, and you can put it down anywhere. You don't need a lot of water. You do not need long transmission lines. You put the power where you need the power. Isn't that beautiful? And you put it below the ground. You dig 30 meters below the ground, and the plant goes in the ground, and it looks like a house. Absolutely no the dirtiness of the environment. But your other concern that the appetite is there. We are getting there. We're making good progress with the African countries. Remember, African governments on average, they're only in power for 4 to 5 years. So a minister, a politician wants to show that he's doing something. And what's a quick solution? Solar panels, not nuclear. Nuclear is 8 years. It's a strategic intervention of a country to say, this is the future. So you need continuity. Mozambique has come through the elections. We worked with the previous minister, and the new minister has said he will continue with the project in Mozambique so that it can come to completion. So that's a very good historical story of where we are. We are very well prepared in South Africa to go into the future. And as I said, every government department in any country needs a champion to drive and market nuclear. If you don't have that, it's not going to happen.
So as someone who's in the mining space, there are 200 engineers, scientists, and other professionals within Mozweli. Who are you currently servicing? Are mining companies interested in having some of these modular plants on site?
Yeah, that's excellent. Your nuclear power plant needs fuel to run. Building the power plant and you don't have the fuel is going nowhere. It's like building a car and you don't have petrol. So your nuclear fuel is the petrol you need to put in the tank. And the petrol that you put in the tank is uranium. You put uranium, enriched uranium, in the reactor so that you get energy. And where do you get uranium from? You mine the uranium. The uranium is a byproduct of the gold mines. It's a byproduct of the platinum mines. We have the third most uranium deposits in the world. And we have not leveraged the uranium. They are stockpiled. We are involved with a mining group that has stockpiled 1 million tons of uranium rocks. And they said, Mozweli, come and process the uranium rocks and take out the uranium, and you can put the uranium into your pebble fuel, and Bob's your uncle, off you go. There's a market for you. And instead of sending the uranium to other countries, we can beneficiate the uranium in our country.
That's such a good example. I mean, it's a conversation around diversification, but I also like that as much as you're a nuclear scientist, you always go back to the issue of job creation, particularly when we live in a country with a 33, 34% unemployment rate, but also broadly speaking, a continent that is desperate for jobs. I also like that you're mentioning, you've been saying we're leaders in this technology and we will do it with or without. Because I think the political winds have changed to the extent that countries now are almost nationalizing their interests, so to speak. So to have the likes of Mozweli on our continent, honestly, I think that's a really good thing. And hopefully people not only see that, but they support the work that you are doing.
We have 274 municipalities in South Africa. Just imagine if each municipality had a Mozweli nuclear power plant. You would create jobs in that area. You would create stokvleis where people can sell the power and have jobs. And if you have a job, you will pay for the power. And that is what you want to do. Put a Mozweli power plant at each municipality. You will alleviate poverty. You will alleviate crime. And that is going into the future where you want to be. That is what we see is helping alleviating poverty and training the people in going forward. I thank you very much for that. I've got many examples. This is a 3-hour discussion, but you've given me 1 hour.
Yeah, I cannot think of a better way to stop. It really does leave people with so much to think about.
Yes.
That it's not just a conversation around energy, but it's a broader economic or socio-economic discussion. And it sounds like Mozweli is at the forefront of that conversation. There is no life without energy. I mean, countries fight for energy. South Africa has for many, many years depended on one source. We're now incurring debt, getting funding for renewable energy. I'm specifically referring to solar and wind energy.
Yes.
It sounds great, but if you're getting debt from the Europeans and other sources, that debt needs to be repaid at some future date.
Yes.
Which is not good for the country. So again, that's why I'm saying this conversation for me has been really a powerful one. And Winkert, Dr. Dudley, thank you for gracing Mining 901. I've learned a lot.
Hello.
And I'm pretty sure that our audience have learned way more. If I want to get hold of Mozweli, Dr. Dudley, how do I find you?
By email, it's info@mozweli.com. Very straightforward. info@mozweli.com.
Wonderful. And hopefully someone out there who's looking for a reliable source of energy, you know where to go. It's in Centurion. So yeah, hopefully there will be 1 or 2 people, maybe a bit more, that will be interested. You'll agree with Dr. Dudley that this conversation is a 3-hour, maybe a 4-hour discussion. So you know where to find Dr. Dudley and the Mozweli team. Until next time, this is Mining 901, where we're taking mining to the next level.